Wow! What's happening, everybody? Yes, sir! We are in season 6, baby. That's 6. I can't count to 6, but it's all good. What's good, everybody? Welcome to Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. I am your host, and today we are kicking off season 6. It's fire, fire, fire. First, before I do anything, I want to share with all of my viewers, longtime viewers, those of you from day one, those of you that's just coming on and listening for the first time. I just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Who would have ever thought, or as some people say, who would have ever thunk it, that I would be in season 6 when I had this opportunity to be a podcast host? I never thought it would be this, but I have been extremely blessed and thankful that I've learned so much. I've had some incredible guests that have been on. I have mentored people through the podcast. I didn't even know I'd get these emails and all kind of things that happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This is season 6. And for all of you that's listening in, thank you. I know you could be doing a lot of other things, but thank you. Whether you're listening to it live right now, or you're going to listen to it on the YouTube channel or any of those other places, thank you. I can't say thank you enough. So I want to shout out, like I normally would do, shout out to my people in Europe, shout out to everybody in Africa, shout out to South America, shout out Asia. What's good, everybody? Antarctica, what's going on down there and up there and all around there? Australia, how you guys doing? I just excited to be with you. I really am. So y'all know I'm a little thrown off on my podcast, but it's all good. I like to have a lot of fun. So how have you guys been? How have y'all, like really, how have y'all been? How have y'all been last week, last month? How was the holidays? It's 2026. How's everything going, guys? How's everything going? All right, I got a hot show today. I'm not going to be long, but I got a hot show today. And I wanted to share some things with you. So over the holidays and over the break, I had an opportunity to reflect and think about some great things and some maybe not so great things. But I had an opportunity to do all of those things, and I am absolutely thrilled about sharing today how to become unrecognizable. Becoming unrecognizable, if you want to be proper, right? So if you have something to take some notes with, go ahead and do so. If you're driving, go to the YouTube channel and catch it there. If you are at work, and you really can't take notes, just go back and listen back to it. You can go to my, my website. Go to Let's Talk with StanleyDoucette.com. Y'all know, listen, it's been a long time since I've been in the saddle, so forgive me. But let's go to Let's Talk with StanleyDoucette.com. Let's Talk, L-E-T-S, or actually L-E-T-S. L-E-T-S. Let's Talk with StanleyDoucette.com. Go there. Let's sit down. Let's grab some stuff and let's go to work. So let's make it happen. Shout out to all of my brand new friends. Shout out to all of my brothers and my sisters from all over the world. I'm just glad that you guys are here. So now that I gave everybody an opportunity to take notes or to have something to take some notes with, let's get into it, right? So becoming unrecognizable. I got to this place. I was having a conversation with my mentor. And during one of my mentoring sessions, we were just conversing at a level that was just unbelievable. And one of the things he shared, I think unconsciously, but he was saying, you becoming unrecognizable. And when he said that, something just hit inside of me. Be like, yeah, that's exactly right. Last year, some people had some ups and downs. The year before that was atrocious. The year before that was even more horrific. So we can go on and on and on. But we're not looking backwards, we're going forward. So I want to share with you guys just a couple of quick points on becoming unrecognizable. The first thing you want to do is begin to go and look at what's the difference between your fantasy world and your reality. Fantasy versus reality. A lot of times, family, we don't really want to say it, but we live in a fantasy. We live in this bubble. right? We live in this fantasy, you know, and we're doing some stuff from a fantasy wise, and it's like, what's really going on? No, when you're talking about fantasy, you know, we're talking about instantaneously at a blink of an eye, right this second, I have become a multi-billionaire. That's right. No work, no nothing, no planning, no preparation, just at the blink of an eye. You know, you talking about you're just floating around and doing things. No, we want to stay and understand what is fantasy and what is reality. So a lot of times we'll live in a fantasy land and say, I'm not going to take this lady on this date, or I'm not going to go and approach this guy to ask him a question because I want to make sure all my hair is done proper, it doesn't fall, the curls are right, or the guy's like, well, I need to go get a fresh fade and make sure he get the scissors out and do all of this stuff. And we keep going and going, and we start getting into this fantasy world about how I'm gonna be chiseled and I'm gonna be looking this way and I'm looking all cute and I'm looking all handsome and debonair and all of this stuff going on. And at the same time, you literally just in a fantasy. You just living in a fantasy. Listen, let's be honest. You know, when we were younger, right, when we were in our teens and low 20s, a lot of times we, you know, the 6-packs and the 8-packs were out, and you know, we walking around, we doing our thing. You know, you get a little bit of age on you. You get a little age on you. All of a sudden, the 6-pack become a 1-pack. You you get off the sofa, stuff start cracking. As a matter of fact, I ain't gonna get in my business, but I was by somebody's house and was standing up, and all of a sudden the bones started cracking. And hey, listen, you start living a little bit longer, right? And all I could do is just laugh. All I could do is just laugh. And the reason I'm saying that, because fantasy wise, we still talking about, I got a 6-pack, and I got an 8-pack, and I could be outside and I could run 20 miles without any water, no breaks, just go. Well, that energy may not be there any longer, right? Not the way we had it. So we have to understand the fantasy wise in your mind, you dream, and you got all these things like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But the reality of it is, listen, I need to go to the gym, and it's gonna take a little bit longer to get this gut going. It's going to take a little bit longer to tone up these legs or these abs or the or whatever it may be, right? It's going to take a little bit longer to get that degree because now I have, you know, a child or children. It's going to take a little bit longer for me to get promoted because I normally would be able to do 5 different things, but right now I only could do 2 because I have to go and do this, and this. So we have to realize what reality is. You got to have a reality is, I may want to cook steak, you know, every night, or I may want to have a chef and you know, house attendants. I don't like to call them maids, but house attendants, and be able to clean some things and be sharp and crispy with it. But reality may be, all right, on my budget, I need to go get some pork chops. Right? And you may think real hard and say it's a steak until we get to that point. So we have to, first of all, becoming unrecognizable. The first thing, we have to be truthful on what's fantasy and what's reality. Now, I want to be very clear on this. I am not saying what you're thinking in your fantasy cannot become a reality. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, becoming unrecognizable, we have to be thoughtful. We have to be truthful with ourselves or where we are right now. Now that we are becoming unrecognizable, let's be truthful. Okay, for right now, this is a fantasy. You might put it on the shelf. 6-pack. I want to win awards. I want to be bodybuilding or whatever it may be. But the reality is, right now, I need to learn how to first start walking. I need to get the cardio back. I need to begin to picking up, listen to this, not 10 pounds on each side. Let's just start picking up the bar so we can begin shocking those muscles back into, let's get back into the groove of things, right? You may start doing 1 or 2 sit-ups. You may start doing 1 or 2 crunches. You may be doing planks for 5 seconds and not 60 seconds. All of those things, you have to understand the difference in being in the space of fantasy versus reality. Now, can you get from reality, the fantasy can become your reality? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's going to take some time. You may not be able to do it in 2 minutes, but it's going to take some time. And absolutely, you can go from fantasy to reality. That is definitely something we can make happen. The next thing I want to walk into, and man, I've been screaming this to the top of my lungs, is finding your purpose. Whoa! Finding your purpose. Now, you got to be truthful with yourself and finding your purpose. What is your purpose? What is your purpose? What is your purpose? What is your God-given purpose? And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you guys, it took me a long time to find my purpose. First of all, I was disobedient. I wasn't listening to nobody. So it was difficult to do that. So I was just like, yeah, all right, whatever. But here, a lot of times when I'm listening to individuals and I'm conversing with men and women, and when we begin to dissect our lives, a lot of times we don't have purpose. We're just, how would I say, roaming aimlessly around the world, just roaming aimlessly. And every now and again, we'll throw out a fantasy, but we are still roaming aimlessly because we have no purpose. We hear people frustrated, angry, disgusted, mad, frustrated, all of those things going on because we don't have a fantasy. We legitimately don't have a fantasy. We legitimately don't have a purpose. So when you have a purpose, you begin working towards something. That's something that's deep down within you. That's something that you feel you were born to do. Now, let's not do this either, family. Let's not do this. Let's not say I'm here to help people. Okay, help them how? Right? See, a lot of times someone would ask us a question, and we will say, I'm here to help people. Okay, great. How are we helping them? And now you have a deer in the headlight kind of look. No, be very specific on your purpose. I've heard people say it's an empowerment of people. People talk about giving back. So their foundation was their purpose to give back. I can go on and on and on. Some people say like, yeah, my purpose is money. No, it's not. Stop lying. It's not. It is absolutely not. Right? So what's your purpose? What's your purpose? I've heard some friends of mine that are pastors. It says absolutely was to be a pastor. That is my purpose, to absolutely be in a space where I can pastor individuals to become better than where they are. So whatever that may be for you, you have to dig down deep and do some deep work. I'm getting into the next one, but do some work and being in a position to where you can clearly state what's your purpose. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to guess about it. You know without a shadow of a doubt. One of the clues that I would always say when you talk about purpose is you would do it for free. You would absolutely do it for free. When I walk in my purpose, when I specifically walk in my purpose and I have an opportunity to do those things, it gives me energy. It gives me strength. I can go on and on and on because I am literally walking in my purpose. That purpose has so much meaning, not just to me, but to my creator, right? So what's your purpose? Take a moment. Family, take a moment even right now. Start pursuing and perusing through your mind your purpose. What is it for you that's going to help you become unrecognizable? Is it to create more revenue streams to help other people? Notice I didn't say it's just revenue streams, but revenue streams to help other people. Is it for you to be a pastor? Is it for you to be a coach? Is it for you to be a legitimate powerful mentor? What is your purpose? How do you bring joy to other individuals? How do you bring joy to yourself? So what's your purpose? Why are you even here? So what's your purpose? I have the opportunity to be a part of a great company by the name of One Voice Worldwide. And a lot of times we talk to people about their purpose and their why and what you're doing the business for and all of those great things. And it's very, very humbling to see people first talk about making money and then walking and getting to their purpose and living their purpose out. That's when it becomes so magical. It gives you goosebumps to see people begin walking in their God-given purpose. It is that powerful. You know, sometimes we'll do things, right? And we'll camouflage it back to the fantasy, right? We'll camouflage that we're doing something, but we're really not living in our purpose or walking in our purpose. Here's what I mean for an example. We can actually have a, I don't know, I get with a friend, and we can have a motivation session, and we all fired up and ready to go, and we excited, and when we walk out that door, you know, my brother and I, or your sister and you, or whatever it may be, we walk out that door, or we walk out that Starbucks or that coffee cup. As a matter of fact, we walk out T Styles Coffee and Farrah Shop, right? So we'll we'll walk that thing out. But here's the thing. When you walk out of the coffee shop, when you leave T Styles from her coffee shop, the question becomes, how long will motivation last? Studies show it lasts anywhere from 48 to 72 hours. That's not your purpose. That's just motivation. But walking in your purpose, you don't need an alarm clock to get up and walk through that. You don't need an alarm clock to get yourself up, because that internal joy begins to come out of the inside of you. So when you're talking about walking in your purpose, don't just do something and live in that fantasy. And what I mean by that, have rah-rah session with, you know, in the coffee shop with T Styles in her coffee shop. No, don't do that. Or let's not go to Starbucks and have a rah-rah session with your cousin. No, let's not go out to eat and sit down and talk about all of the great things you're going to do, because you're living in fantasy. But let's walk in purpose. See, now when you're walking in purpose, you're talking about the roadmap. You're talking about where you're going, what you're doing. You living in your purpose. You have meaning behind your name. You are that one. Now you're starting to become unrecognizable, because your purpose will begin to open up doors for you that you never thought was possible. It begins to open those things up. Recently I had a wonderful conversation, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I had a wonderful conversation with this young lady that's been doing some amazing things, I'll just say, in the entertainment space. Amazing things. But as I converse with her, right, I'm listening to her, and I could hear her passion coming out, talking about, Stanley, I can do this all day long. I got this part. I can do it. I'm living my purpose. I can make it happen. And as I'm talking to her, here's what I started thinking. This young guy, talking with myself, from Walker's Lane in Miro, Louisiana, you start thinking like, man, I only grew up in this X amount square foot house, and I'm thinking about where I came from, and yet I'm on the phone with this young lady that have access and credentials for great things you would literally see on TV. And she's talking to me about helping her with her purpose and where she's going. See, when you walk in your purpose, those things begin to come back to you, and you begin to open yourself up, because you become an attraction at that point. What is the attraction? Because your internal and what you're created to be is now beginning to attract things to you that is supposed to be attracted to you. And it repels things that are not. So walk in your purpose. As you're walking in your purpose, this is number 3, you're going to have to do some deep work. See, you talk about fantasy, but for me personally, when you talk about doing deep work, I had to be truthful and be honest with myself. Let me say this, make sure the mic is on. I was a wreck. I was tore up from the floor up. My thought process was ill. I was evil thinking. Not evil, just thought sometimes was just evil. I had some bad things going on. And what I was attracting was trash. I was attracting things that was emulating what I thought I wanted, but it had absolutely nothing to do with actually what I wanted. I was sitting there attracting negative thoughts. Listen, you know how some people say, oh, they're going to hell. Listen, I was going straight to hell. I was sitting in the front car, and I was excited to go. I was literally that excited to go until something broke. I had to start doing some deep work. I failed at a tremendous amount of things, but later on, as I began to look back to failures, it wasn't so much that I failed, but it was because I was just so out of whack. I was just off balance. You know, when you're driving your car, you want to make sure it's balanced so you can take your hands off the wheel and it continue to go straight. Well, mine was so going so many different directions, I couldn't take my hand off of it. I was not vulnerable. I was not truthful to myself. I was not in a space to where I was listening to anybody. I had great talent, but I had a horrible attitude. I mean, I can go on and on and on. I was smart, but dumb at the same time. Smart in terms of school, but making dumb decisions. That's what I'm referring to. See, when you start doing and saying, okay, I'm going to do great work and I'm going to start doing this good work and doing deep work inside of myself, when I start doing that deep work, it was not pretty at all. When I say not pretty, I mean it was not pretty. And I had to take some days, weeks, months, and years to do work on myself. One of the things that helped me to do that deep work is I got a mentor. I got a actual mentor that can handle me. Now, what do I mean by handle me? Because a lot of times people say they get a mentor just because they like that person. Oh, he's going to be my mentor. But they can't handle you. Or they're going in the wrong direction. They don't have the ability to coach, mentor, or train you to go into the right direction. So one of the things as you're doing deep work and you find a mentor, but find somebody that can actually mentor you at your level. Let me share this. This is very powerful. And I want to make sure I'm very clear on this. A lot of times people say they want to go to the next level, but you can't go to the next level unless you're invited. And it's not an entitlement, it's a privilege. Somebody, and that person will be led, in my opinion, will be led by God to tap you to help you go to the next level. But so many times, let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you, I'm helping somebody, even if I'm just helping myself. Going to the next level. And I wanted so bad to go to the next level. But when I started conversing with my mentor, he started coaching me through some things, I was resisting the change. That's right. I was resisting the change because he was moving me into doing stuff the right way. And my life had been out of order for so long that I was fighting to do stuff out of order. Now, when you're doing deep work, there's going to be some things that's going to be listen to what I'm saying, absolutely unclear. It's going to also be absolutely painful because you have been doing something the wrong way for so long. It's going to take a lot to start to move you in a direction to where you're going. Now, that being said, it's not impossible, but you have to be open. You literally have to be open to correction. Let me say that again because some of y'all don't want to do that. You have to be open to correction. It's not going to taste good all the time. Matter of fact, it's going to go down. It's not going to have that great taste. But you have to be in a place to where you can accept correction. Understand that mentor is not saying something to destroy you. That mentor is doing it to uplift you and to help you grow. Because as you're climbing to that next level, you can't work and operate the same way you did at the lower level. See, you have to also have a mentor, and as you're doing this deep work, that have been there, done that where you're trying to go. You cannot have somebody saying, to make this easy for everybody, I want to make $100 this week, and the most they've ever made was $20. No, you can't. You have to be in a place to where they are able to understand and have the capacity to not just be there, but to guide you, coach you, mentor you in moving in the right direction so you can start making that $100 a week. That's where we're going. So as you're doing that deep work, some other things inside of doing that deep work, get your spirituality in check. Get your mental in check. Get your psychological in check. Get your emotions in check. You know, a lot of times you won't argue with the teacher because you out of order. That's your emotions speaking. Begin to suppress that foolishness and walk in your greatness. That's right. So it's going to take some time to do some deep work. It's not easy. I coined it, not me, but I told my mentor this. He told me this one day. I said, "All right, I'm gonna give you credit 3 times. After that, it's mine." but but it's simple. It's every vision will be tested for its authenticity. Some of you guys have heard me say that before, but it's simple. Every vision will be tested for its authenticity. So when you're talking about being tested for your authenticity, you're going to be tested. And a lot of us don't like the process, but go do that deep work that you have to do. And on the other side of that deep work is going to be a piece that you have no idea that was even in existence. And it's going to help you tremendously. We're no longer going to be in survival mode. We're no longer going to be fussing just to fuss. Being your man way and your great part of men, being a man, not the negative, but the great part of being a man. Being your woman, being your womanhood, the great part of being a woman, and all that God created you to be. All the men, all of what God created you to be. And when you walk in that space, you're going to attract and do things that's going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be amazing. And the last thing is this: create a high value network. Create a network of individuals that'll hold you accountable. Yep. Create a network of individuals that would hold you accountable. Now, when you pick up the phone and you call Stanley, if you don't want the truth, don't call me. Do not call me. If you want somebody to just she and woo and do, I may not be the person to to give you that advice on how to she woo and do. We may not do that. But if you legitimately talking about walking in that space on how to be better, whether it's at your business, whether it's at your, mentoring, helping your children, helping you walk into a greater place, all of those things, yep, I'm there, but I'm gonna hold you accountable. There's a friend of mine told me this, and we're doing business. It's like a lot of times people don't want to call you because you're gonna hold them accountable. Think about that. See, a lot of people don't want to call you because you're going to hold them accountable. You're going to work with them, whether they're in a gutter or whether they're in a penthouse. You're going to work with them, but you're going to hold them accountable. Because I am held accountable from somebody greater. So when God holds me accountable, why you didn't help him or why you didn't help her, and all you did was just roll in the mud with them, I didn't give you that permission to help them for you to roll around in the mud. I ask that you help them clean themselves off so they can walk in their greatness. So we have to make sure as we're walking every single day, every single week, that we're doing some amazing things. So becoming unrecognizable in 2026. Just a few things. Make sure fantasy versus reality. You understand what's fantasy. You understand what's reality. Understand finding your peace. Your purpose. Find your purpose. Why are you here? What's your purpose on being born? Get into deep work, meaning doing deep work on yourself, your mental, your physical, your psychological, your spiritual, emotional. Do the work up front. And watch all of the things begin to change on your behalf. And then create a high value network. Individuals that are going to hold you accountable. Also, I'll say this in your high value network. Also, by you not being the smartest person in your group. Don't raise your hand, but just think about this. How many of us have groups or networks that we're the smartest ones in there? We don't want to give up that network, because if we give up the network, we're going to be smaller, but we don't want to be small. So we want to stay in that big network so everybody could be like, oh, look at them, look at them, look at them. But you don't want to grow. It's time to grow, family. 2026 is on and popping. 2026, by December 2026, we should be able to change addresses, change the schools our children are going to, whatever car that you want, all of those different things from a manifested physical standpoint, but then also the spiritual side. Have a greater relationship with your creator. Be in a place to where that communication is authentic and not contaminated. Being in a space where your mental is powerful and not diverted into negative things. Being in a place to where your psychological is great and you're not being psychologically moved by other things or negative forces, right? All of those things are in place right now for 2026. We just have to gather ourselves and believe and know that we're going to make some things happen. So this year, for Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette, we're going to have some incredible guests on. We're going to have some first timers. We're going to have some old timers. We're going to do a lot of great things. We're going to talk about so many different things throughout the season. But the biggest thing is still to empower you. The biggest thing is still make sure that you're great. The biggest thing is to still make sure you're walking in your purpose and being all that you have to be. So I didn't want to have a long podcast today. I didn't want to have a guest and, start off season 6 and throw the smoke signals and the bells and whistles and all of that. Didn't want to do that. But I just wanted to talk about becoming unrecognizable, because by this time next year, I'm going to be unrecognizable. Who's going to ride with me? Who's going to ride with me? So that being said, listen, family, I love you guys. I love all of you guys. Let's go to work. Let's become unrecognizable. This is only just the first part of season 6. But we rolling now. It's on. It's popping. So I'll see you guys on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. Let's go to work, family. And I'll see you guys on the beaches of the world. Y'all have a great and powerful day. And until next week, peace. We out.